I'm recording. Let's go.
Perfect.
So Will Slickers, thank you very, very much for joining me here. It's Meredith Cowley here from Custom B&B Hosting, our property management company here in Australia. It's the afternoon for you over in the US. It's bright and early in the morning here for us, but we've been able to connect, and I am really, really excited to have you here. I'm going to ask you an array of questions about your experience and knowledge, and really honoured that you're going to share it with us. But a little bit about you. What I know about you, and you're going to correct me if I'm right or wrong, is that you were in the army. You're a bit of a wild child. You then joined the army and have got some amazing discipline. You're a podcaster. You are a hospo genius, I guess. I think that's kind of how you refer to, like, you know your stuff. You know, you've been around it and in it for a long time. And now you're a consultant and also, property manager yourself. Is that kind of a snapshot of you?
Yeah, I think if you put it inside a nutshell, that's about it. It's wild child turned to hospitality expert and love of just everything: hotels, travel, vacation rentals, restaurants, people, you name it. Yeah.
People. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
you say this is a people game, hey?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think, yeah, I'll always reference back to my first interview. And by the way, thank you for having me on the show. I'm really excited to talk with you. Um, but my first interview, so long story short, I had a show for an event company when I was 19 in Washington State here in the US. And I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I too much overhead, too much debt,
Yeah.
didn't know anything about anything. And long story short, Uber came in, became very popular, really hard to compete with. So I remember picking up some amazing guests at a Four Diamond Marriott hotel in town. And I just remember the suit and tie look, the ambiance in the lobby. It just was super attractive. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go apply there. Never worked in a hotel a day in my life, but see what happens.
Yeah.
Long story short, manager interviews me on the spot, hires me on the spot, only because I answered this one question right. He said, how good are you with people? And I said, I love people. People, like, I'm come from a big family. I was class clown in high school. I just love people. And he was like, how good are you with software? And I was like, probably going to be pretty rough in the beginning, but if you teach me, I'll pick that up. And that's something I can learn really quick.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
says, good, because if you answered that flip-flopped, like, I think I can get better with people, but I love software and tech. He said, I would not have hired you because I can't teach you to like people, but I can teach you to learn the software. So yeah, it's definitely a people game, to answer your
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. So maybe can you tell everyone a little bit more about you? I skipped over that initially. Let's tell us a bit more about you and where this wild child thing and your army experience and sort of, where you are today.
Yeah, for sure. Well, long story short, I am the seventh child of seven. I have a twin brother who has Down syndrome, and then we also have an adopted sister who has Down syndrome as well. So I got five sisters, one brother. Came from just drenched with people around me all the time, like always, at home, at school, at work, whatever. So I think it was just kind of a natural talent with that. But then I struggled a lot with being with the wrong crowd in high school and getting into some trouble. And it got me to a point where I actually don't share this often, but where I was homeless at a very young age. Made a lot of bad mistakes, and it was all on me. Nobody, told me to go do what I was doing. So made a ton of mistakes, but I remember a mentor took me in, helped me get on my feet, and from there I just said, I need to learn some stuff, a lot about myself. I need to learn discipline. I need to learn attention to detail. I need to learn something other than having to be around people in order to feel some kind of pleasure in life. And so I joined the Army National Guard for a 6-year contract. So for those who don't know what the National Guard is, it's like being active duty for the training. So you go through active training with everybody like you're going to be a normal soldier. And then you go to your home state and you get activated whenever the government says, we need you to help with wildfires or floods or who knows, riots, COVID. Yeah. So I did that for 6 years. So 1 week in a month, 2 weeks in the summer, but then I had to work a full-time job. which led to me getting into hotels after that chauffeur company. And from that hotel, I stayed there for about, I would say, almost 3 years, where I just learned the ins and outs of front desk and housekeeping and room service and valet, all these different departments. And the being in such a big property, it was over 700 rooms. Um, it's really hard to advance and get one-on-one training with your management team or directors of room and all that stuff. So I left with on a great term. Still see all of them a lot. Like I go back and visit and say hi. But I went to the Oregon coast and started working on the boutique side to really experience like the independent side where you're not dependent on a flag and a brand and all that stuff. Loved it. Became a manager really quick within like I think 6 months of
Yeah,
being
wow.
there. Yeah. And then that's when I started realizing a little bit more about short-term rentals. My parents have a short-term rental that I've actually helped them with when I was a front desk agent at the first property.
Yep.
And it just kind of made sense. So after starting the podcast and getting a lot of traction with that, I went full force to entrepreneurship and podcasting and property management.
Yeah, fantastic. So you've had that experience in the hotel space as well as the short-term rental space and everything in between by the sound of it. And it
Yeah.
sounds like, and I know, I guess you've had the luxury end experience as well as, the bread and butter kind of stuff
Yeah.
that, it's just about having heads on beds and making
Yeah.
it, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
How many podcasts are you up to now?
Oof. So podcast episodes or podcasts I've created? I'm
Both.
sorry.
How many
Okay.
podcasts have you created?
So I'm on my third one.
Yeah.
So we have my main podcast, which is Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast.
Yeah.
I think we're almost to the 200th episode.
Yeah.
Really, really close.
Yep.
And then I have Good Morning Hospitality, which is a Monday morning show here in the US where me and some other people in the industry just cover news and topics about hotels, vacation rentals, and etc.
Yep.
And then soon, with a good friend of ours named Julie George,
Yeah.
we have the Big Give Back, which is a hospitality entrepreneur pitching show. So other travel and hospitality entrepreneurs get to pitch their business or idea to other hospitality and travel entrepreneurs.
Oh, wow. Wow. That's exciting. I did not know about that one. That is so great.
Yeah,
Wow. We'll
it
definitely
hasn't
check that out.
well, I was gonna say it hasn't fully launched yet, but we're getting the episodes recorded and ready, and then lots of editing.
Yeah, right. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, yep, for sure. Oh, how exciting.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, cool, cool. All right. So tell me, what do you enjoy most about your work in the hospo space?
Yeah. I've been thinking about that a lot actually because I have a lot of friends who are like, man, it's just a hotel. Why do you like hotels so much? Or why do you like, Airbnb or whatever? Everyone thinks it's Airbnb, but they don't know it's short-term rentals or vacation rentals.
Yeah, I
But,
know. But I know we just call it Airbnb because it's,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It's becoming a household name. So,
Correct.
but for me, like honestly, it's the community aspect. Again, it goes down to people. I like creating something out of nothing when a normal house or maybe an apartment or unique luxury property, you're really creating something really cool that people get to experience and create memories and moments in, and that just builds like a really cool community within your community. Since like connecting with the local coffee roaster, I always use for example because we have a coffee roaster in our destination where they're globally known and they're very eco-friendly and just amazing company to know. So building relationships with your local businesses, but then again when the guest aspect, they get to experience something really cool and unique that they can't experience anywhere else. So
Yeah.
I think just the overall community is really what drives me, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would it be fair to say the creativity that
Oh
you
yeah.
thrive on as well, like being able to create and come up with these ideas and put them together?
100%. Yeah. I don't know if you heard because we were talking back about the interview with the Book Direct show,
Yes.
and one of my favorite words and now definition is destination air,
Yeah.
which is defined as people that are wired to create remarkable experiences that are anticipated and shared. And I live by that. Like I 100% believe there's people in our industry that are wired to create remarkable experiences that people you just can't find anywhere else. You can't find through a Walmart or a Target, or like, granted, a worker could really do a great, amazing thing that just blows your mind while you're there, but they're not, there to provide that type of service. They're there for, the other things. So anyways, that's yeah, I think what you said is the creativity is just where it's another geek out moment for me, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a different to just doing a styling. It's different to just styling. It's about, and I want to unpack it a bit more with you in a bit later on, like just to maybe think about some ideas for our listeners,
Mm.
what they can do to, turn a kind of, if you've got a multiple properties, maybe we'll skip to it now. If you've got multiple properties, it is a business for you. You're not just about creating your one, amazing property, not living on it or close by where you can go and deliver, hot biscuits, cookies, or have a farm stay or something like that. It's not that. It's, like me, I've got a couple of apartments. How do I make them an exceptional experience? I don't go and meet and greet. I'd love to know some ways that you've seen people do that or come up with yourself. I know you're a consultant. I'd be interested to hear some ideas you have.
Yeah. I think there's like one thing that we can really learn from Airbnb itself, like the company Airbnb, they've done really well at making the transaction and the search frictionless, where it's pretty much a click, click, done.
Mhm.
Um, and that's where I kind of like look at our business and any kind of other, like right now we're taking on a huge project. It's like over 2,000 units, and finding ways, how can we one make that process really smooth for our guests, but then for our team, so that way they can focus on those. Hey, that guest mentioned they're coming for their wedding, what can we go do for them? What local business can we go buy cupcakes from, or do these certain special you know giving back type of gestures. But is, how do we make it very, very seamless and a smooth transition for everybody when it comes to the guests on the team. And that's how I really look at it, because then when you're able to have that frictionless interaction as a team and as a guest, that gives you, again, like the opportunity to really sit back and say, okay, what moments can I curate? I would rather focus on curating moments than I would answering emails from hundreds of thousands of notifications coming from a PMS. Like,
Mhm.
the PMS is there to do its job, and that's to
Yep.
automate a lot of the tasks that I don't want to do and don't need to do,
Yep.
so that way I can focus on this. And I think that's kind of a long way to go around the answer of, how do I go about being creative and other things, but you really have to focus on your operations and your model of that, because if you can create great moments
Mm.
with a hectic system,
Mm.
but a hectic system is going to hold you back from creating more moments.
Mm.
So that's where I really focus.
That is so, yeah, that's incredibly valuable. I think, yeah, when you're so caught up and us emerging hosts without, be built out systems yet, like definitely get hectic and caught up in that busyness. And you're right, take away from the space to be creative or offer those extra
Yep.
touches. And I think I certainly had an experience just on the weekend of friction with my team and how that
Mhm.
fell down. And I
Mm,
thought my systems were pretty secure, but they certainly got tested out. And
yeah.
and then that took up so much of my time and refunds and took away from all the experience and stuff. So yeah, so
Yeah.
that's incredibly valuable. Thank you.
Of course. And
Yeah,
if I could add one more thing to it, it's just that
do.
don't be afraid to try new things. Like, that's one thing. Like, I was so set, like, we have systems in place for this, I can't make a change. That hurt me more than actually like, okay, well, this is the one thing that didn't work. So what can I do to change this in order to make sure it does get to the completion
Mm,
of the task or the experience and stay.
mm,
So that's one thing I've been learning on my entrepreneurship journey, is really like, don't be afraid to try new things and make changes that you need,
yeah,
especially even though you may have a system in place, sometimes systems can be tweaked.
yeah.
um
So you
i've
got to be
i've
flexible, but you also got to
yeah,
have the headspace for it though, right? Like, you know what,
yeah,
I need to be flexible, I've got to put some time into, being open to this. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've learned it a lot. Like, if you ask me that question, or if I was thinking about that answer, maybe 6, 8 months ago, I would have like, no, put systems in place and let them do their thing. But
Yeah, yeah,
I've been learning a
yeah,
lot just that, okay, there's sometimes you need to make some tweaks.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And do you reckon, just, I don't know, I'm out of curiosity, would you do that, like, let's have a review of those systems quarterly, every half a year or something, because you can't look at it every week, or you'd
Yeah.
be changing something every week. But how frequently do you think you should be having a bit of a review?
Yeah, I think quarterly is definitely great. I definitely am not against if I notice something that is like maybe an automated today I noticed an automated message didn't go out to a guest,
Mm.
so I'm like, okay, why is that not happening? And so being aware, like, know your systems but be aware when they're not functioning, so that way you can evaluate them. Because I think quarterly is great, but you can go a whole quarter and realize you left maybe $10,000 on the
Yes.
table because of one thing that you didn't actually look at. So just being always conscious and self-aware, like, all right, are my systems working?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that self-check, like they're in place, I've gone through it, I've made the steps, I've created the roadmap, but it's trust but verify. That's what we've always said in the military is, trust but verify. Like, trust that your commander gave you good orders, but verify that your orders are correct. And so that's always been something that I've lived by too.
Absolutely, because we're human, and there's imperfections, right? Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. So you were involved in marketing, um,
Mhm.
and what was one of your most successful marketing strategies, and what made it successful, and can it be replicated?
Yeah. So I was actually thinking about that when
Yeah.
we were talking about this episode, and I was like, like, granted, we had a pretty for the area that I was in when it came to the hotel management. Um, we had a pretty good social media
Mhm.
engagement, let's say,
Mm,
compared to everybody else. It was
mm,
a very the town is very coastal, very behind the times by a couple of years when it comes to social media and trends and everything like that. So being on top of that was really beneficial for us. But again, it's going to go back to the team. When we had reservations, we had maybe, I think for that hotel we had over $300,000 of uh, revenue paid to Booking.com in commissions.
yeah, yeah.
So that's a lot of money. Like,
Oh,
especially when you're making about 3 million a year,
mhm,
that's a lot of chunk of change to just go out the door.
mhm,
So my best and this is marketing in my opinion, because you can do great graphics and website and all this other stuff, but use the OTAs to get the guest in the door, maybe two times. Um, but you should have a really good team that's aware of Booking.com, Expedia, Airbnb, wherever these guests are coming from. And we played a game. So this hotel was a little bit old school. We had printed reg cards.
mhm.
So I hated it. And in order to make it fun, and instead of being a pain in all of our butts, I would find all the OTA reservations and I would highlight the OTA. I would highlight the missing information that the OTA didn't give us,
Mm,
and whoever could fill out most of those fully, while also trying to upgrade the guest to a different room type, we would do like a monthly bonus to all the
yeah,
agents.
nice.
And that in itself was a great market, because now my team is incentivized not by pizza party, but by actual, you know, payments of good work
Mhm,
to market to the guests, to capture the email, to capture the phone number,
mhm.
to get them to want to sell the property for me at such a high level that that guest will always want to come back and remember Jerry or Debbie or whoever that got them to have that awesome stay.
Yeah,
So when it comes to all the like front end, there's a lot of people in the industry that focus on websites and all
mm.
this other stuff. I let them do that. I focus on where can we really um, use our team and our community to be the advocates for us.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Yep, yep. Yeah, beautiful. And that is totally, replicatable.
Yeah.
It's not just a one-off, marketing blitz or something, it's just like,
Yeah.
actually, let's just set up some new habits and behaviors.
Yeah, and it creates a really cool culture within the hotel. Like being able to walk in and I would have a couple agents come up to me with all their sticky notes that they collected upgrades on, and be like, I'm killing it today. Like they were just in a great mood. They're encouraging each other on. Um, knowing that everyone was going to get this bonus, or they were all going to get bonuses compared to their upgrades, they were actually helping each other out at check-in, like, hey, make sure you get this and grab that, blah blah blah. Like, they were
Yeah,
on
right.
top of it.
Yeah.
And it created a more collaborative workspace, that compared to a give me your photo ID and debit or credit card, please.
Yep.
All right, you're in room
Next.
303.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if for us in the short-term rental business, where we don't have so much of that concierge front desk kind of experience, I mean, I think about it, you can still engage using your PMS to, or any whatever a platform you're using to engage with the guest and try and get them off that platform and directly booking with you by building a relationship. Is that what I'm getting right about
Oh
that?
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many tools that you can use in order to build that relationship. So yeah, like, I don't even know where to start, but
Give
that
us
is
give us, give us two or three.
I was gonna say, well, that's the cool thing about short-term rentals. Like, we don't need all the physical labor that goes into to turning a property, operating a property. Um, but one of my favorite tools, so I'll always shout out postfully.com.
Mm,
Their digital guidebooks are great. They do have a property management software,
mm,
but if you already have one that you love, get their digital guidebooks, because you're going to be able to brand it. So you put all your branding on there. You can have a little marketplace that you actually sell add-on services, mid-stay cleans, late checkouts,
mm.
who knows, any kind of sip and stay package, or maybe a spa day package, whatever you want to call it. So that definitely helps, because then you retain the guest information, such as email, phone number, etc. Plus, they have your brand now. They don't know it's an Airbnb. They know it's a Recreation by Meredith. Like,
Yeah.
they have that name to the forefront.
Yeah.
So that's a really good tool. Another good, let's see, what's another one in my tool belt? What was the main? Is it marketing tools or?
Yeah, I think it's about for short-term rentals, when it's
Yeah.
about having a tool that, about, I guess it's kind of getting them off the OTAs over to direct bookings, or remembering you, or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that would be like, that's my number one go to. I don't have many other ones, other than, QR codes are becoming a really popular
Yeah.
thing. I remember one project I worked on with the hotel that was kind of not branded, but then going short-term rental, because they bought some properties around that they're going to do. Um, with COVID-19 and everything, they left QR code, things on the table saying, hey, check us out at, whatever, use this coupon code and get a 10% discount when you return, and you don't have to pay guest fees on Airbnb or whatever. It
Mm.
ends up saving the guests quite a bit of money.
Mhm.
And if you can advertise that in a really good way, then I think you're solid, because who doesn't want to pay a little bit less, get the same experience?
Mm,
It's a,
right.
it's a, yeah.
It's changed a bit now, though, isn't it? Now that Airbnb charge the host the 15% if you're on a
Mhm.
PMS. So it's a little different to sell these days.
Yeah, exactly.
That's now
It's a
like,
little
just
bit,
help us out.
exactly. But like, there's also ways around it in your messaging. I've set up some automated templates so that when the guest books, it's just, I'm Will from Recreation Stays. Go ahead, and if you have any questions, like, granted, I don't put a link in there, but then when they are getting close to their check-in day, they're, again, the guidebook, it's very well branded. It has the website links. It has all the other stuff where they can actually check out.
Yep.
Like, hey, if you're ever going to come back in the area, check out all of our other properties.
Yep.
That definitely helps.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Yep. Beautiful. Okay. Um, I know that you've definitely had some time in the luxury accommodation space. And I'm really curious to hear from you about what makes a property luxury. Is it, does it, I know you've been involved with a castle. Does it have to be a castle and sort of this amazing property, or can it be, is it more than that? What are the must-haves, but what are the must-avoids to make it luxury?
yeah. So it's a really good question, because it doesn't have to be a castle. It
Mm,
doesn't. Castle that we had was, making at least minimum $1,500 a night.
mm,
And granted, it's like a place like apartments, unless you have a amazing jacuzzi and let's say a pool balcony and all this other like crazy stuff, you're most likely not going to get a pretty high rate for that.
Yeah.
So, luxury to me, when we're thinking about that, is the attention to detail in all aspects of the property and the listing
Mm.
that make you stand out compared to somebody who's just owns a second home that they use, 3 months out of the year that
Yeah.
they go to, and then they're not there. So it's standardization. It's, again, the attention to detail when it comes to the linens, the way that the place is decored,
Mm.
and then of course what you're offering. So are you offering just a book with us, have a great stay, check out, and maybe come back again?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you offering, hey, we noticed you're here for a week. We have a great service that we will Instacart, or we'll deliver your food and waters and champagne and whatever prior to your check-in day so that your fridge is fully stocked. You have 24-hour concierge service.
Yeah.
Here's a custom, limo that you can book, whether it's through a partnership or through your own service.
Yeah.
Going above and beyond, and that finding again that destination creation. Because if you are solely just saying heads and beds, heads and beds, heads and beds, you're only caring about the nightly rate. But
Yeah.
when you're creating unique experiences and a luxury service or a luxury feel, you're going to want to find a lot more ways to incorporate different tactics to capture the guest in a different way than you would with heads and beds, heads and beds, heads and beds.
Yeah.
So again, we have a guy who has a limo here. He's retired. He's got an amazing, he's fully permitted, fully inspected. I've checked all his paperwork. He's great. I've done a background check, got his business license, like verified and trusted.
Yeah.
And we have that option. So if people coming into Seattle, they can book him if they don't want to get a rental car, but they want to have that kind of VIP service at a lower price point that they wouldn't end up having to, break the bank on.
Yeah.
There's That's luxury in a lot of people's eyes. It's all, within perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting point, isn't it? And I think that for me, that's about, all right, my perspective on luxury. And I guess that's why I'm asking you the question is, what is your perspective on luxury? And then what is someone else's perspective on luxury? And I guess, it's about testing and measuring it. Well, I'm going
Yeah.
to try this and see how it goes. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Totally agree.
yeah. Awesome. Okay. Is there anything that you would definitely avoid with your luxury? Like you just go like, I mean, for me, I'm just like, you have to have good beds. Like that's just a critical thing. And you got to
Yeah.
have some high quality linen,
Yeah.
at a minimum, and probably something pretty special, like, if it's a view or it's a something.
Mhm. Definitely. Well, like again, it comes back to that attention to detail aspect.
Yeah.
So of course, great bed, great linens, like, keep it really clean. So like the contract of white sheets and linens is like I went above and beyond to be very transparent. So you can see our sheets and linens are spotless.
Yeah.
And the guests will say, this is really great. I'm not gonna, ruin these. I'm not gonna, have coffee spilt on it, red wine,
Yeah.
whatever. But then there's all these things that you can do in order to be different in a luxury segment compared to, again, heads and beds, where it's like you have, great towels and other things like that, but then you also have black towels for helping, the ladies get the makeup off their
Yeah.
face. If it's a bridal like just the little things would go a long way, providing like a simple toiletry kit with toothbrush and toothpaste and maybe some face masks for a fun like night to just relax. Who knows? um yeah, there's a bunch of that stuff. So definitely the avoid, if you want to say luxury, do not go cheap
Mm,
on the linen. Do not go don't go cheap on the photo shoot.
mm,
Like, do a
mm.
really good photo shoot. And do not, I guess, set it and forget it. Like really optimize your listing, optimize your revenue, optimize your communication, so that way it's, again, optimize your system so that way you can
Yeah.
create that curated experience that makes it luxury.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. So good.
Mhm.
All righty. So we've talked a little bit about the destination creation concept. I'm just wondering if you can maybe expand. I know you did a presentation on it at the Book Direct show, and we don't have half an hour for you to do your presentation again now. So maybe just give us a high level concept about what you do and what you're talking about with destination creation.
Yeah, well, it's exactly everything we've been talking about on this episode, just in the fact of The castle property, for example, was in the middle of Seattle and the Canadian border in a small town that a lot of people haven't heard of.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in a town nearby, so I know where it's at. But if you have anybody say, "Where in Washington are you located?" Say Arlington, they're gonna like, "Where's that?" So it's really not on the map. So what do? You have a great property like that
Yeah.
that isn't known, and for a high traffic of tourism, you create buzz, which is through like press releases, local community newspapers and articles and all this other stuff. Verbo picked it up for a giveaway that they did with a Netflix special. So like creating it to become something different.
Yeah.
So if you're, let's say, the castle is really hard to compare because a lot of people don't have a castle. So like
Yes.
let's say
Something else.
let's say you have like a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, countryside, home.
Yeah.
So again, it comes back to partnerships with other local businesses. Who's around you that you can say, this is what makes us unique and special? Do you have a person that has beehives and grows honey and takes care of bees and is a beekeeper and is all about, the environment with sustainability and all this other stuff? Can you provide a jar of honey at check-in?
Yes.
Or can you provide a way to have them go actually experience the beehives themselves with a beekeeper that can tell them so much about something that they don't know?
Yeah.
Or do you have a coffee roaster where you can get curated special coffee from Brazil or from Ethiopia or Ghana? Like, what places around you that are right there in your own backyard
Yeah.
that you normally, as a person who lives there, I'm not always going to be like, yeah, I need my Ethiopian coffee today, or I want to go, do some beekeeping.
Yeah.
But there's people that are doing this for a living or for a passion that you can really use to highlight. So you're creating a destination, you're creating something unique. Again, this isn't something that I can copy and paste at every destination because every destination is going to be so different. I'm here in Washington, but going to Florida, I'll have probably 10 different changes I'll have to make to my business plan because of the different local community.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But it's around, again, about partnerships, isn't it? It's just about partnering and wanting to, but not partnering to get. It's about how do we both boost each other's businesses and promote and cross promote and support and just showcase, isn't it? Showcase our area. And certainly one of our apartments, we partnered with the local deli. They had some fantastic, they did some amazing, dinners, so they could just get a dinner delivered and stick it in the microwave or stick it in the oven or whatever they need to do. But it was not just, a frozen meal from the supermarket, it was, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I was gonna say, have you ever seen the TV show on Netflix, Stay Here?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So they did the one in Chicago. So they found like a firehouse and a boathouse. Like they did some really cool stuff. But the same thing that they did in every single one of them is they took the firehouse guy to the local bakery. They made custom bagels just for that short-term rental. So anytime you got to stay at that short-term rental, you got these crazy rainbow yellow brick bagels that were custom for that. Like that's really cool and unique. So it's kind of
And I
taking the
remember
same
the one
concept.
about, I remember the one where they partnered with the local gallery and they hung put the gallery artwork in the house too. I thought that was fantastic. So yeah.
And like you said, you're not getting anything. Like these people aren't paying you to do this, but the OTAs pay millions and billions of dollars in advertisement on Google and all these other things. So let them keep spending their money and wasting it, because when they're sending you business and you're capturing it into your own CRM and your own unique way of providing experiences and destination, now you have a $0 customer acquisition cost other than your commission the first time. If you can get them to rebook with you directly, great. You're paying a 4% or a 3% processing fee on the credit card, but that's about it. And that's where I'm kind of all about. And that's another thing of destination creation is let the OTAs get you booked in the beginning, but after that, that's your job to now focus on everything else.
Beautiful. I'm going to talk about your interviews. You are a podcaster, a prolific podcaster, obviously. You've interviewed great people on your podcast. Can you And I know it's hard to choose one or two or a couple of standouts, but can you give me a
Yeah.
couple of standouts and tell me why? Because I guess it's just encouraging people to go and have a look.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, it's so hard because I'm pretty picky about who I let on the show. In the beginning, I was all about getting everybody I could that had a great network in order to build an audience. But now I have my own audience and have created like a name and a brand with it. Um, I got really picky. I was like, all these PR agencies were like sending me pitches for guests, and it's like, it's very generic, not nothing I
Mm,
want to like talk
yeah.
about, you know. So finding those guests that really gets me excited to talk, and not even just me talk, but just hear their story.
Mm,
They're all super great in my head, in my opinion. So it's like hard to pick.
mm,
But one recently that I really loved is with Emmanuel and Mike. They are the founder and co-founder of Jetstream, based out in Canada.
mhm,
And the reason why I liked them a lot was they created an OTA based in Canada, but then realized that they created all this like tech solution behind the scenes that nobody actually had, especially focused on like multi-family units.
yep.
Um, they have a really cool entrepreneurial story. They sold the business to Red Awning, previous COVID, and then during COVID, Red Awning was like, you need to lay everybody off, and we're gonna like pretty much like dissolve the business. Um, and they're like, no, we're gonna go buy it back. So they raised the money to buy it back. They did. They brought everyone back on, and now they're thriving and really just here to stay. It was a cool story, really cool story.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, like it. Yeah, it's very lucky that I got that to come across my email, because it was just like, okay, not no one's captured this in a hospitality or entrepreneur way. Like, yeah, we've seen maybe a press release or two, but I want to hear I want to hear the emotions. Like, what were they going through? What were they thinking when they heard that they were going to have to dissolve their company after selling it, and then saying, you know what, we're going to buy it? Like, what? Yeah, there's just so much to it. So
And the passion that you would have for your company. I mean, obviously it's your little baby and you've sold it and you're thinking, yeah, we're moving on. That's the right thing to do. But then, yeah, obviously you've still got some passion for it when you want to buy it back
yeah,
and make it thrive. Yeah. Oh, that's a
yeah.
good one. Fantastic.
That that was a really fun one. I'm trying to think of other really good ones that I've just kind of loved from the beginning. I would say we had there's a lot. There's so many. We did a 30-day March Madness month. So every day of March, I released an episode. So I'm trying to cycle through all the ones that went through. Um, but I would say there's Parker Stanberry from Oasis. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Mm,
They got a cool investment from Hyatt
mm,
hotels, and they created the Oasis Passport during COVID. So subscription based short-term rental model, so you can
mm,
travel at a monthly rate to any of their destinations in certain areas. Um, so like imagine paying 2,500 a month
mm,
as a digital nomad, and
mm.
you can stay in Miami or Texas or Chicago. Like there's just all these cool things. So that I thought was pretty innovative, if I can even
Yeah, definitely.
speak. Yeah. But yeah, there's a couple other ones. There's so much that I just have to go through the list and probably send you a couple.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. I guess, people can go and find you. And I've listened to a couple of your episodes and yeah, I mean, we've talked, you've got 200 in your catalog essentially. So there's a lot to take a pick from. Hey. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Is there, I've got 5 quick questions that I like to throw out to my guests at the end of an interview. Is there anything though that you want to share with us or leave us with before we go down those last 5 questions?
No, this has been super fun. I've been able to geek out on some stuff I don't get to geek out on all the time. So
Yeah,
yeah,
fantastic. Yeah, we're certainly very happy to have you. All right. Give me your best mindset hack.
mindset hack. Yeah. So man, I've really been obsessed with this whole like wired to create thing.
Mm,
Um, and there's another entrepreneur who I followed through like Gary Vee, and actually had him on my show like a long time ago. Um, but he's asked this question a lot, like, are we born or made
mm,
to be entrepreneurs? Are you born to be an entrepreneur? Or are you made? Like, do you have enough life events that happen to you where you're just like, I'm done, I'm going to create, I'm going to go, like I'm going to do my thing, and you accidentally fall upon it, all that stuff. And he interviews these people asking, are we born or made? And I've been asking the same thing, are we wired to create, or do we become wired to create? And I think when it comes to like the mindset, if you feel like you are wired, then doing things that aren't productive and aren't chasing that goal of whether it's a full-time business, whether it's creating a conference or creating a podcast or creating this, like if you're not doing it, it should, the fact of not doing it should make you be like, what am I doing? Like you feel like that peer pressure to yourself. And just listen to that. I think that's my biggest number one mindset, is like always trust your gut when it comes to what you want and what you need. I'm pretty sure you get this like when you have a bad guest, or not a bad guest, but a potential bad guest that's like being kind of sneaky on Airbnb and trying to like get discounts and do all this other stuff, and mentions partying. Like you can kind of pick up on some stuff. Well, I've been kind of learning the same thing about myself. So kind of trust your gut where you're going with your life and with your business, and what decision you feel like is going to be right, because it's okay to try something and change your mind.
Yes.
So that, I think, is my kind of biggest mindset hack, is just wake up and just start going and let it kind of, go from there. Don't get upset if you don't get your to-do list done. Don't get upset if you do, just do what you can, trust your gut, and keep moving.
But it's also, it's what I hear you saying as well, is just quiet and listen to it. Like actually just listen and tune into it, rather than just getting busy in the busy. But hang on, what's this? People call it aligning, whatever, intuition, gut feeling, whatever it is. But you've got to be peaceful enough to go, oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, this is where I want to go. This is my thing.
Yeah, because I've seen one another person who I really admire out in the UK. She was going, man, I heard all these crazy like rich, Fortune 500, CEOs and entrepreneurs tell like talk about their morning routine. And I don't have a morning routine, but she's got a thriving business herself. She's like, I don't have like 30 minutes of meditation and book reading and cold showers and all this other stuff that I do in the morning to get me going, and that's okay. Like, because at first she was like started feeling bad that she's like didn't have a morning routine, and I'm the same way. Like everyone's like, you gotta have a great morning routine and a great night routine. I don't work like that. I wake up, I drink some water, I look at my phone and emails, I listen to an audiobook or whatever, and I go about my day, as the day demands it. Like I can't just sit there for like 30 minutes right when I wake up and start meditating. And my mind's not like at that place. So it's I definitely think it's all custom per person.
Oh, I so hear you. I resonate so much because I last year I spent a lot of time sort of, listening to people and learning and tuning into these high performers, and getting like, oh my God, like I should be meditating every day. And look, I value it. I totally value it. But I was like, this doesn't fit my routine. I can't beat my 4-year-old out of bed in time half the time, like, yeah, I totally hear you. And you know what, I had to calm down and go, no, this is my routine and I can still be, that's not what defines success or productivity, should I say. Like, for the 2 hours or the 4 hours I get to do on my business a day, a week, whatever, it just needs to be tuned and attuned to the 80% stuff that gets stuff done, that moves your business forward. It's getting those things done in the bit of time you have.
I love it. You said it perfectly.
Yeah. Book direct or OTAs, or maybe both?
I'm both. Again, like I said, OTAs are spending billions of dollars in order to get people on their platform. So let them spend the money, because I don't want to spend the money. Let them spend the money, get them, optimize my listing to let them send me all the traffic that I can. And then it's my job from there. And then as I build up my portfolio and customer data, guess what? Eventually they will just be used to fill in the cracks. I will be so booked direct that the one weekend here, or maybe a week in the winter when it's slow, I can let an OTA fill it for 15% or 10% or whatever the commission is. Like, I think let them spend their money and you keep yours, and end up doing the easy work on the back end.
100%. Yep. book you're currently reading or listening to on Audible?
Yeah, Traction. I forget what the author's name is, but I will let you know after we're done recording.
Yeah, that's
It's
okay.
a really good one. It's about setting up systems again, like we kind of talked about in the beginning.
Mm,
A guest that was on the podcast, he actually co-authored the book,
mhm,
and it's a very well known like business book, I guess.
mhm.
And it's about creating, the entrepreneur systems and how do you use that in order to work on your business instead of in your business.
Yeah,
So it's been something I've been really enjoying.
perfect. Awesome. Podcast you're listening to when you're not creating them.
It's hard. I try to listen to podcasts in general, but it's hard to listen to other industry podcasts because then I start getting down a rabbit hole of like I need to go create this new series or do this and blah blah blah. So I've been really enjoying my murder mystery podcasts because they have nothing to do with hospitality, and they are like being inside a book, but I don't have to like focus on a page. I can just
Yeah.
listen to with really good music in the background that they have and like the good
Yeah.
edit and post production. It makes it just something completely different that I can just kind of tune into and not think about work.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And if you're in lockdown, like we've experienced over here, have you had much lockdown?
In the beginning, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Which celebrity would you like to be locked down with?
See, I want to know your answer because I was going through like movie actors and actresses and TV stars, and I'm like, I don't want to be with any of them. But if I could be with like an entrepreneur like Gary Vee, Tony Robbins, I would feel like be more productive with my time than if I was with a TV celebrity or something like that. Because
Yeah.
you know,
I think I often just keep going. I want to be with some amazing chef. That's pretty much like, Otto Lange or something like that. That would probably suit my palate quite well.
yeah,
But yeah, absolutely. Anyone who's, thought provoking would be brilliant, wouldn't it? Yeah.
yeah, exactly, or a chef, because then you wouldn't starve in in lockdown. You'd
Yeah.
be all happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is all of my questions. It has been an honor and pleasure to have you talking with me today. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah.
And people can find you, best way to find you is via.
Yeah, slicktalkthepodcast.com. That's where pretty much everything lives, and I keep it updated. And LinkedIn is really fun. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn.
Beautiful.
It's been a pleasure to be on the show and to talk with you and actually meet quote unquote in person.
Yes.
Uh, so it's really exciting.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.